Good evening, you're watching World News Tonight on TVP World. I'm Aaron Darman. Coming up, the former boss of a Polish government agency faces allegations of embezzlement and corruption, with questions over who received public funds during the COVID pandemic. More on that in just a moment, but first, let's take a look at tonight's headlines. 750 companies from 34 countries around the world. One of the world's largest arms fairs opens in Poland. More than 50 people were killed and nearly 200 injured in a Russian attack on Ukrainian city Poltava. And Poland's mobile payment system BLIK expands to Slovakia and Romania. Miha K, a former head of the Polish Government Agency for Strategic Reserves, appeared in a London court today. But because the official refuses to return to Poland voluntarily, he's been detained until February, pending his extradition trial. He was arrested on Monday in London on charges of abusing his position for financial gain.
The extradition process for Miha K started on Tuesday at the Westminster Magistrate Court. He is wanted by a Polish court due to accusations concerning contract rigging at the agency he oversaw for over 2 years. Following the European arrest warrant issued by the Warsaw Regional Court on Saturday, Miha K was arrested in London on Monday, following a joint effort by Polish and British authorities. After the hearing, Miha K refused to return to Poland voluntarily. His decision triggered the start of a lengthy extradition process.
The extradition will be done or will be proceeded by the proper authorities of the United Kingdom. And the United Kingdom is no longer a member of the European Union, which means also that European arrest warrant is no longer applicable by the judicial authorities of this country.
In Poland, a court will question K over accusations of rigging contracts, while he was president of Polish Government Agency for Strategic Reserves under the previous government.
We can presume that this procedure, in this procedure, there will be also appeal. So I believe that it may take some months.
Its former president is being investigated by prosecutors for overreach of authority to achieve financial gain and awarding profitable contracts to favoured businesses. These contracts covered protective equipment during the COVID pandemic and electric generators for war-torn Ukraine, among others.
He would buy power generators that were 3 times more expensive than those that could be purchased on the market at the same time.
Currently, the Civic Coalition government is investigating several cases of alleged fraud that are believed to have occurred during the tenure of the previous Law and Justice government.
The prosecutor's office will bring charges against all those who broke the law and who, for example, gained personal benefit from purchases made from the state budget where these purchases were, as in the case of the Strategic Reserves Agency, overpaid in comparison to the actual value of the goods.
An arrest warrant has been issued for Paweł Szopa, a businessman who is thought to be one of the main beneficiaries of the agency's contracts. Both men are to be charged with participation in an organized criminal group and might face up to 10 years in prison. The next hearing is scheduled for mid-February. Until then, Miha K will remain in custody in the UK.
And for more on today's court hearing in London, we go now to our UK correspondent, Claudia Chinska. Claudia, what do we know so far about the arrest of Miha K?
So just as you heard just a second ago, Miha K, the former head of Poland's government Strategic Reserves Agency under the Law and Justice government, the previous government ruling in Poland, was detained as of yesterday, as of Monday. And today he was facing the Westminster Magistrates Court here in the very center of London. And what we've learned after that is that he did not agree to be extradited to Poland, which could possibly really extend the process of getting him back to Poland to face the trial. We know that the trial judge ruled that the sort of a solution that was presented by Miha K's defense attorney, that being a bail of £200,000, a permanent address here in the United Kingdom, as well as a regular reporting to the police by Miha K, is actually not sufficient, given the sort of seriousness of the charges that were brought against him. As it was mentioned in the report before, the hearing here in London, when it comes to Miha K, is going to happen somewhere in between the 17th and the 19th of February 2025. So there's still a very long period of time when we will have to wait to figure out, because just as one of the experts said before, the UK is no longer in the European Union, and even though there was a separate UK arrest warrant issued for Miha K, it will be the judges here in the United Kingdom that are going here in London that are going to decide whatever is going to happen to him. As we know, he is wanted by the Polish prosecutors for allegedly using his power for financial gains. As we heard from Miha K a few days ago during an interview for the far right-leaning of Polityce portal, he does not want to go back to Poland because he does not believe that he's going to stand a fair trial. But just as I said, it will all depend on the decision of the court here in the United Kingdom. And during that hearing, Miha K could actually potentially apply for another bail. Back to you.
Thank you, Claudia. The Polish city of Kielce is hosting Central Europe's biggest and most important international defence industry exhibitions. The annual event, which began today, brings together more than 700 arms manufacturers from all over the world to showcase the latest in defence technology.
The Kielce Defence Expo is the place where Poland traditionally seals big military contracts. 3 such contracts have been signed so far this year. Contamination detection systems for the Rosomak armored personnel carriers, engineering vehicles and communication systems for Polish air defense. These are the newest systems that will ramp up Poland's defense capabilities.
Poland is the leader when it comes to allocating funds for defense spending. The leader not only in Europe and NATO, but also the world. At the moment, only the Gulf countries surpass Poland in this area.
The expo is also an opportunity to promote Polish arms available for export. Military officials from as far as Rwanda came to Kielce to look for equipment to purchase.
Our ambition, shared by the government, the president and all of us Poles, is that we sell the best Polish products in every industry, especially the defense industry, because we have something to be proud of.
Representatives of major companies providing arms to Poland are also present. Among them, officials from Hyundai Rotem, which manufactures K2 tanks recently purchased by Poland. A deal for more K2 tanks was expected to be signed today, but negotiations are taking longer.
We are on the negotiation now. We will work hard to sign the contract as soon as possible, which we hope to be within several weeks.
For 4 days, the Polish central city of Kielce transforms into Europe's defense capital, with Poland planning to spend nearly 5% of its GDP on defense next year. The importance of the Kielce Fair is only growing. Marek Steele, TVP World.
At least 50 people have been killed and hundreds wounded following a Russian missile strike on a Ukrainian military college in the central Ukrainian city of Poltava. Joining us live from Kyiv with more is our Ukraine correspondent, Oz Kataji. Good evening, Oz. What more can you tell us about today's attack?
Yeah, a devastating attack on the central Ukrainian city of Poltava. They're believed to have hit a military college, but also an adjacent clinic. That whole compound receiving 2 ballistic missiles. That's according to President Zelensky, who put out a statement earlier today. Now, we do believe the death toll has risen to 51 now, with 219, at least 219 wounded. Now, that's with the proviso that death toll may rise over the course of the evening and into tomorrow. But also there's believed to be at least a dozen or more people still trapped under the rubble with search and rescue operations ongoing there in Poltava. So this is the deadliest attack of 2024 so far. So it's a really dark day for Ukraine. Now, President Zelensky spoke out very strongly about this and pled to his allies again regarding long-range missiles. Let's take a listen to what he had to say in a statement earlier today.
The Russian scum will surely pay for this strike. We continue to urge everyone in the world who has the power to stop this terror. Ukraine needs air defense systems and missiles now, not sitting in storage. Long-range strikes that can protect us from Russian terror are needed now, not later. Every day of delay, unfortunately, means more lost lives.
US officials are briefing to reporters that they are planning, or they are close to sending Ukraine long-range air-to-surface cruise missiles. These are systems they've not sent to Ukraine before. However, the process could take months, according to these officials. And Zelensky here very much letting it be known that the way Kiev sees it is that every day is a delay, every day costs Ukrainian lives. And we're seeing the results of those attacks on Ukrainian cities on your screen right now.
Indeed, a dark and tragic day in Ukraine. Thank you, Oz Chatterjee, our Ukraine correspondent from Kiev. Poland is one of Ukraine's closest allies, but the countries share a troubled past. The massacre of Poles in Volhynia by Ukrainian nationalists during World War II remains a sensitive topic between Warsaw and Kyiv. Poland has long demanded that Ukraine permit the exhumation and reburial of the victims. The issue was raised last week at a youth event in Poland, where Ukraine's Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba appeared to deflect the question.
Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski weighed in on the recent controversy over Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba's downplaying of the Volhynia massacre.
It will be up to Poland to decide on the completion of individual stages of Ukraine's negotiations with the EU, so it's in Ukraine's best interest to settle the matter of exhumations as soon as possible, as a gesture of gratitude to Poland for what we're doing for Ukraine now.
Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba appeared last week at a youth event, Campus Poland, where he took questions from the audience. When asked when Ukraine would allow exhumations of the victims of the Volhynia massacres, Kuleba appeared to equate the killings with forced resettlement of Ukrainians in post-war Poland.
All of these Ukrainians were forcibly moved from Ukrainian territories here to among other parts in Poland, to Olsztyn. But I'm not talking about it. If we start digging in history, we politicians, we will have a completely different quality of the conversation.
The Volhynia massacres were carried out by the Ukrainian insurgent army, aided by the local Ukrainian population, against the Polish minority in Volhynia and neighboring lands. Close to 100,000 Poles were murdered between 1943 and 1945.
Memory is crucial. There's no doubt that this was genocide, and we all agree on that.
Both Sikorski and Kuleba appear to agree that it's only Russia who benefits from dissent between Warsaw and Kyiv.
Keep in mind that for many years, whenever Poland or Ukraine have needed help and Russia has sought to sow discord between our two countries, the subject of Volhynia all of a sudden becomes the subject of a heated debate.
If we allow passions to dominate this relationship, we will end up where your previous colleague was warning us about. We will be torn apart by the Russians.
Poland has been one of Ukraine's closest allies since the start of the invasion, providing approximately $25 billion worth of aid.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has just departed from Mongolia. The trip was his first visit to a member country of the International Criminal Court since it issued a warrant for his arrest. Largely dependent on Russia, Mongolia did not arrest Putin and is now at risk of prosecution by the ICC.
Vladimir Putin arrived in Ulaanbaatar on Monday for a two-day state visit. He received a royal reception, welcomed by guards wearing uniforms reminiscent of Genghis Khan's personal guard. The two governments signed several agreements, including one for the design of an upgrade to a power plant in Ulaanbaatar and the supply of aviation fuel to Mongolia. Putin invited the country to participate in the upcoming BRICS summit in Russia and outlined plans to supply Russian gas to Mongolia.
The design documentation was finalized for the Soyuz Vostok gas pipeline, which is over 1,000 kilometers in length and will connect Russia, Mongolia and China. It's not just about the transit of Russian gas through Mongolia. We are reviewing the possibility of supplying this energy source to the Mongolian consumers.
Mongolia, a landlocked country that borders only China and Russia, is largely dependent on its powerful neighbors. The ICC warrant puts the country in a difficult position. Under international law, Mongolia is required to arrest Putin during his visit. Ukraine's foreign ministry called Mongolia's actions a heavy blow to the international criminal justice system.
Ukraine must be very upset. Ukraine wants Mongolia, that you could have changed the course of history. You would go down the history textbooks as great heroes, and your country would prosper.
Although Putin's visit was met with a small protest, many Mongolians do not believe he should be arrested while in Mongolia.
It is true that we're an ICC member country, but that doesn't mean we have to follow every order. And arresting Putin during his visit would be immoral and improper. China and Russia are both very important to us as neighbors. We Mongolians do not support the arrest of Putin. I don't support it because it's bad manners.
The ICC has accused Putin of being responsible for the abduction of Ukrainian children during the ongoing invasion of Ukraine.
Poland's Deputy Minister of Digital Affairs, Miha K, has taken part in the Poland-Philippines IT Business Summit in Manila. He announced Warsaw's plans to establish an AI fund and discuss the opportunities that await Polish companies in Asian markets. TVP World's Don Arleth spoke to the Polish official on the sidelines of the summit.
We're here in Manila today where the Polish Trade and Investment Agency's Poland-Philippine IT Summit took place. And I'm now joined by Deputy Minister of Digitization, Miha K. Thank you very much for taking the time to sit down with us today.
Good evening, Don. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, we got some really warm weather. Well, you started off the conference today with a keynote speech, so why don't you tell us about what you were talking about at this IT summit?
Well, we were talking about AI, about the challenges of our times, about some dark signs of our times. For example, the electric cars who are trying to outsmart us every day, who knows better when to put AC on or when to turn and how to park and where to go. But we are talking also about the challenges and the chances for Polish companies here in Asia, especially here in Philippines.
Now, it's really interesting, the Philippines, the Polish-Philippine dynamic in the relationship. Looking up the numbers, from 2022 to 2023, the increase in bilateral trade was like around 18%, and most of that was in the IT sector. So looking forward at this new relationship, it seems like a good opportunity for Poland and Philippines to further this relationship.
Yeah, because it is a good opportunity to do business here in Asia, and Philippines is the, in fact, blue ocean for Polish companies. We outlined 3 areas to do business. First is education. Second is digital identity with our Polish brand mObywatel and all features connected with electronic, with digital identity. And third is cybersecurity.
Exactly. Well, cybersecurity seems to be one of the themes on this 3-country tour that the Polish delegation is going to. So Philippines, Malaysia, and of course in Singapore. Now, concerning the Philippines, where do you think the areas of cybersecurity overlap with Poland and Philippines, and where are they kind of different?
Well, we have some different issues and some similar issues. For example, Philippines is the area when cybercrime happened. For example, the stealing of identity, for example, the scanning of credit cards. Of course, both Philippines and Poland is day by day attacked by the Chinese vector, Chinese direction or Russian direction. It's a huge problem, and we have to face with this issue, with this problem.
Well, we'll see what the next couple of days brings. Maybe some kind of announcement from the government or what have you. Minister Gramatyka, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Poland's homegrown mobile payment system, BLIK, is gaining some serious momentum, leading the domestic market and expanding into Slovakia and Romania. Now there are rumours of a possible partnership with the fintech firm Revolut.
BLIK is a household name in Poland. It allows users to pay in shops and online and transfer money instantly using their smartphones. Now it processes almost 7 million transactions daily, 40% more than at the same time last year. And with this kind of momentum, it's only natural that the company would like to spread its wings. Dariusz Mazurkiewicz, president of PSP, the company that owns the BLIK brand, visited us just last week to discuss the firm's plans to expand into the Eurozone.
Of course, this is definitely our plan to go to Western European countries, especially those that are based in the Eurozone. As I mentioned, Slovakia and Bratislava is the first stage of this journey for us.
The company also plans to move into Romania.
But e-commerce is half of our business, and this is why Romanian market is extremely successful in the growth of e-commerce market. We want to be present there.
Enter Revolut, an international platform facilitating foreign currency as well as cryptocurrency transactions. They've more than 45 million customers worldwide, of which 10 million are in the CEE. As Polish daily Rzeczpospolita reports, Revolut and PSP have been talking about cooperation for a couple of years now. But there's been a lot more discussion on this subject recently, possibly due to BLIK's planned move into the Eurozone and Romania, Revolut's largest market in the CEE. A possible alliance could be a win-win for both companies and their shareholders. Revolut will gain access to BLIK's instant mobile transaction technology, while BLIK could use Revolut's reach to leapfrog its overseas expansion. For now, both companies are still officially silent on the subject.
And now for a bit of news here at TVP World. We're excited to announce the premiere of our new programme Warsaw Debate tonight at 9:10 Central European Time. Experts, politicians, academics and our audience discuss the issues that matter to our region right here in our studios in Warsaw. In tonight's debate, we'll consider the question, is the European-American divorce inevitable?
Transatlantic relations, they have to be reconsidered because our expectations from the European side are just too expensive to be carried on by the United States, because strategic interest of the United States is compete with China.
Both EU and US, we are together 30% of the GDP globally and all the trade and all this. Yes. So we know.
Very impressive numbers.
Yes, that's very impressive. The relation between Europe and US creates 16 million jobs on both sides of the Atlantic, directly and indirectly through trade and investment. Nobody knows it. We don't communicate with the public.
We return now to one of our top stories, the detention of a former Polish government official known as Miha K in London after an arrest warrant from Warsaw. Joining me in the studio to discuss the case and what could happen next is Michał Zacharski. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Good evening and thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Now, let's start at the beginning. What exactly are the allegations that have been put forward and why has it taken so long to come out in the public?
Yeah, the allegations seem to be very serious, actually. We've got the organized crime taking part in an organization that is criminal, and we've got also some charges pertaining to the lucrative contracts with no tenants. So this is basically what it's all about, an abuse of power, actually, in the government agency.
And we've seen today Miha K attend a hearing in London regarding his potential extradition. Can you run us through what happens from here? Do you expect this process to drag on in a London courtroom? And do you think it could take months before a decision is made?
Yeah, I would say up to 2 p.m. today, I didn't expect what could happen because we learned from the latest press coverage that Miha K was arrested in the court in London. The bail was not applied. And what I expected, because I could foresee this kind of reaction of the court, what I didn't expect is that it will take so long, because when we look into the TCA, which is the new agreement after the Brexit on new framework for law enforcement, for the cooperation in criminal and civil matters, there is a very distinct time for the extradition procedures to take place. It's 60 days, and if there are specific circumstances, we can prolong it by 30 days. But as we learned today, it's more complicated because we have next hearing on February next year. So it's basically not what's written in the agreement.
So do you think the United Kingdom is not adhering to that agreement?
No, I wouldn't say so. The extradition procedure is very formal. It's very, very formalistic. And when we look at it, we also need to take under consideration some of the norms that we are not specialists in. For example, I do not know everything about English law, and I know that in this case, the court is also compliant, should be compliant with the UK law. So probably it's more than just the agreement that we looked into.
Given that Miha K is in London, given that the UK is no longer part of Europe and is, after Brexit, its own region, is it possible that Miha K never sets foot in Poland again and gets away with these alleged criminal activities?
There is a possibility that the defense attorneys will win one argument, and the argument is the political side of it all, and they never hide it. They said from the very beginning that this is a political case for them, and so we need to expect them to run with it through the whole race. What the effect will be, I'm not very sure. I know that Great Britain is very prone to such arguments. I mean, they sometimes take it under consideration, they treat it very seriously.
We've also learnt in recent days that the founder of famous Polish fashion brand Red is Bad also faces arrest for his alleged involvement in the scandal. Given Red is Bad is a leisurewear brand, how did it ever end up becoming a supplier for products like protective equipment or power generators?
I'm afraid it's not a question for me, but you know, this is it shows a state of a state at some point, and that's why probably we have such a serious case right now going across borders, and we should just wait and see what the court will do.
Talk to me how serious this is, because it seems like a really big deal, and you're right, it's now a case that is reaching across borders. How big a deal is this case for Poland, and why should people really take notice?
You see, when we speak of strategy and strategic supply, we need to be very careful. And if the chief of the agency, the government agency, who is doing all, he heads the whole departments, the whole agency, has alleged criminal activities, is charged with criminal activities, it's a very serious situation for the country. Remember, we were speaking of the COVID times, the masks. We were speaking of the supplies, food. We are speaking of a very serious deal where it comes to war, for example. It's all there. It's all that agency.
And so just lastly, we're talking here about the embezzlement of as much as $500 million zlotys. In your view, if this is confirmed in court, does this fit the legal definition of corruption?
Surely it is an abuse of power. Surely it could be taken under. We could take under consideration the criminal organization. And since I do not know the files of this case, I wouldn't like to say anything about the corruption. It's just too thin line to go through, and I'm not entitled to do so. Maybe yes, but it needs more analysis.
Miha Zaharsky, attorney and managing partner at Zaharsky Rudol. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And that's World News Tonight. Do stay with us here on TVP World for more. I'm Aaron Darman. Good night.